asked why do I keep making videos about anarchists, Leftcoms, etc., it's because I view this as a tool. MLs are the reason that we're not all speaking German.
But what the hell, what?
MLMs, actually.
MLMs, actually.
To be specific, I'm an MLM, shout out Mountain. But, I don't know. Anarchists they've been factually said by the CIA to be useful in terms of blowing up or...
Get your ass on, boy. You get your goddamn...
Leftcoms, I can't name one Leftcom revolution.
Greetings! Freeman. It's good to see you. Let's try this. Yes, this all looks normal. All right. Is anyone else getting hungry? I am rather looking forward to this analysis, aren't you? My God, what are you...
I can't name one reasonable Leftcom contribution to... Like, these people just exist to be annoying and useless and saboteurs on the left. So I'm using my platform to make sure other people know that and encourage other people not to be them. This is a purposeful thing I'm doing. Like, I have declared jihad against the Leftcoms, the Ultras, and the Anarchists. So I got
Leftcoms.
Anarchists.
But I...
Stop that shit.
But wait! There's more! But I'm not done yet! I'll triple the offer!
The stateless, classless, moneyless society that communism refers to is not the same shit anarchists are referring to in terms of getting rid of the state. The stateless, classless, moneyless society that communism refers to is a natural byproduct of the elimination of class contradictions and class antagonism, and the natural outcome of a fully realized socialist society. It's not saying we are directly looking for a stateless, classless, moneyless society. Communism says, by fully realizing socialism and resolving all class contradictions and class antagonisms, eventually the state will naturally wither away. It is not the same thing as anarchism, and it's not the direct aspiration for a stateless, classless, moneyless society. That is not what communism is. Hope that helps.
Christian, I have no problem with you. I like a lot of your content. Like, this is no hate. But it's like, the reason why people are upset about your North Korea take is like, the country, a fourth of their population was murdered. 80% of all buildings, the concept of architecture, bombed, destroyed. Crippling sanctions, they have the strictest sanctions in human history. People can't travel. Almost the entirety of the world has to abide by a UN resolution that forbids everybody from accepting their visas, their passports. Crippling lack of resources, no trade, virtually no trade with anybody other than maybe China and Russia. And so the country's afflicted with these conditions. By the way, they outperformed South Korea until like the 80s. South Korea had the dictator. They have free healthcare in North Korea, even though they're fucking state. The whole thing of, nuclear testing, Libya gave up their nukes, Gaddafi, dead. Libya, destroyed. It's like you have all these things like contributing to North Korea's fucked up situation, and then on top of that, so much of the narrative around North Korea is disputed, and you make a video calling North Korea a dictatorship. Even if I were to grant you that,
It's like when people are talking about the situation in Palestine.
and someone goes, but Hamas, even though there's a genocide going on in Gaza, right? Even if you were to be granted Hamas bad guy group or whatever, it's like, why the fuck are you talking about that in comparison to the 500,000 people who's getting killed right now? Like, this is people annoying. Like, this is why I was annoyed when he said that. Like, what do you gain? You've never done a video pushing back on US propaganda in North Korea. I've never done a video pushing back on that. But you make a video calling North Korea a dictatorship.
Mind you, there's a lot of democratic processes in that country.
But like, that's why people are mad. Like, you're acting like you're not implying like. It's crazy because the more I read theory, the more China is literally a textbook socialist country transitioning into communism. Textbook to the point it's as if I'm reading.
Bleeding heart liberals, time to dispense some justice.
It's crazy because the more I read theory, the more...
An example from like a future society's, communist society's children's textbook on like economy or history or some shit. I am fully convinced they're a socialist country and they know what they're doing.
To be specific, I'm an MLM. Shut up now,
Absolutely fucking nothing.